Hello and welcome to yet another special episode of the Satori Experience, deep diving with Damien
and Neil.
And we'd like to take this opportunity to talk about a previous topic, which is unleash your potential. And we're just going to deep dive to help you understand more about how to unleash your potential and all that kind of good stuff. So let's go. So I guess the first question would be, what is potential?
Yeah, so for me, from the spiritual point of view, I think we have all been born with a mission. Our soul has picked the exact time and place, who our parents are going to be, our family, the people we connect with, and our soul tribe. And our mission ultimately is to figure out what is our soul asks us to do with our time here. And that could be so many different things. For someone, it could be achieving very much material success. It could be delivering an amazing speech that changes the world. It could even be simple things like you could maybe be called to be a stay-at-home dad or a stay-at-home mom and to raise amazing children. So the ways and pathways and what full potential looks like is very individual for me. How about for you, from your point of view? What do you think, Damien?
Your greatest expression of yourself, and that involves removing all the limiting beliefs you have and moving towards what naturally comes easy to you. So I guess in most cases, like when you feel at flow, when you're in a sense of flow where things are just easy, yet challenging, but also the type of challenge that helps you grow more, push yourself further. So yeah, going beyond your limitations, because I think a lot of us have so many limitations, whether they're real or not. I think a lot of them are actually just stories we tell ourselves that essentially keep us safe.
Yeah, you mentioned it before. The etymology of it was from the Greek.
So the word potential actually comes from the Latin word potentialis. I can't speak Latin, so I might butcher it, but it essentially comes from the word potentialis, which means power. And power is your ability to do something, get work done, like to have the ability to do something. So your greatest potential is when you're unhindered by the stories that limit yourself.
I think people have different versions of power, and I know we're very much influenced by David Hawkins, and he wrote a book called Power vs. Force, and force is when we try to push or dictate things to the universe, when we constantly trying to push against things, against the flow of things. Power is a state of being with where you're at, the people you're in, people you're with, and the environment that you're in. And when you're in that place of wholeness, connectedness, is when you exude power. That is when you're able to transform situations. When you're trying to push and you're out of alignment with the timing of the universe and the people around you, that's when you're forcing situations. To reach your full potential and to tap into your full potential and tap into your power, essentially, it is trying to be in tune with the universe and the people around you. So that's the Hawkins view of potential.
I think that's a great one. I definitely believe in power versus force when we're in our element, when we're aligned with our natural gifts and talents, rather than playing or following the story that society told us that we should be doing this job or something like that. Like we're doing things that are against the grain, against our natural grain, just in terms of trying to please people or our parents and fit into a certain narrative. The example I like to think of is like imagine all these great people, like imagine Stephen Hawking was a bodybuilder. He wouldn't have had those amazing accomplishments, or Steve Jobs, imagine he was a bouncer or something like that. It's just like, it doesn't make sense because they are people that follow their power, or they're aligned with their greatest gifts and abilities. So I think that's a good way to describe our potential and also our power.
Yeah, I picked tarot cards.
I'm terrible at tarot cards, so that's not my calling. Obviously.
But for me, it's the first card I pulled was the Fool. So this talks about diving into your full potential and trusting the universe. It's a lot of times we don't know our full potential, and we'll say we can't do this before we even start something. Here, this card tells you might not be ready. You just have to like dive in and let the universe support you. And it is about trust in the universe. The other one is the Page of Cups card. This is a When Pigs Fly card. You can see an image of a pig flying. And it's about unlimited possibility. It's you don't know what you're capable of. And if you prescribe, this is the things I'm good at and this is the only things I can work on, then that's when you can't tap into your full potential. Another key part is energy. So you can see the Queen of Wands here. She's radiating positivity, energy, fire, enthusiasm. When you have this, that's when you reach full potential. Your state is very indicative and crucial to achieving your full potential.
Yeah, just a note on that. I really believe in that because like when someone comes alive, when their eyes light up, their energy, they're smiling and they're full of energy and they're just talking with passion, that that's a sense of that's powerful, But if you're just kind of like very disengaged and just mumbling and not looking eye contact, it's kind of like you lose that sense. You don't have that sense of presence or power. So so energy is really important. Yeah,
so important. And then I think the last card was the Knight of Swords, and this is actually knowing the direction that you need to go. I think there's a time when you need to explore, but also a time when you just go. And this is an energy of like, yes, I know exactly what I'm doing. I've got purpose, I've got intention, and I'm gonna go and flow. So those are from the tarot perspective.
So how would you summarize that? So trusting universe, yeah.
Trust and unlimited potential. When pigs like allow miracles to enter your life.
Sounds like when pigs fly is also like it's almost like farcical. It's like just like outrageous. Like pigs never fly, but that's one of the possibilities. You
never know exactly. And then just radiate the energy that you want to receive. It starts within you. And for me, it's about enthusiasm and fire and just like joy, right? If you radiate joy, you attract joy. And it's easier to be to reach your full potential when you're in a good place. And that is very, very simple and elementary. And then the last thing is have a direction and go. Just go. Have a figure out your path, and don't constantly reassess where you need to go. Just go. The universe will tell you the right time when you need to divert from your path. But yeah.
I think it comes down to the story we tell ourselves. It's always the stories, the ingrained subconscious beliefs that we had since we were a child, because from 0 to 7 is the most formative years of our lives. And it's interesting because they call it the theta stage, because we have different levels of brainwaves, and theta is the brainwave associated with learning. And that's when we're absorbing like a sponge in our first 7 years. So going back to the story that we tell ourselves, whether that's, change is hard, I'm not good enough. There's all these stories that we tell ourselves that hinder us. But when you think about it, all these stories actually make sense because our brain's primary purpose is just to keep us alive. And other ones are to conserve energy because our brain is inherently lazy. We want to just be safe, kept alive, and safe within the social hierarchy. So, and that's where the stories, or more specifically the default mode network, which is the parts of the brain that maintain this thermostat about where we're at with our identity, because our identity is essentially the story we tell ourselves. And our brain's constantly sensing whether we are in alignment or out of alignment with the identity. And because it doesn't like anything that's uncertain or that could potentially pose a threat to you. So when you have this thermostat set to kind of safe, you'll never break out this paradigm you're living in, this identity. And when you don't break out, you never actually explore your potential. So it's about turning off this default mode network or this thermostat of identity and pushing the envelope and seeing what you can do. That goes kind of, that can negate these stories we've that are ingrained within us.
Do you have an example of a story that you've been able to break clear of?
Yes. So the biggest story I've overcome is that I'm not good enough. Whether than that, and that story has stuck with me for a long time, and that's at the same time it drives me forward because I use that story to move me forward to become better by doing things like self-development, learning about life, and just becoming a better person. So I think for most of my life, I had low self-esteem because I lived under that narrative or that belief saying that I was not good enough until I was never good enough, just in general. So and that was very damaging. But over time, I've, I guess, nullified or had experiences or that contradicted this story, and it's just kind of changing this story over, like little, breaking it down, chipping it over years until that narrative shifts. Because a lot of times it's ingrained within us. It's very hard to change these stories.
So what's the new story now?
I'm constantly learning and growing as a person. I think that's a simple one, just because that story itself presupposes that you're moving forward and your identity and your worth is constantly changing as well, rather than being static that I'm never going to be good enough or I'm not good enough. Yeah. And how about yourself?
Yeah. I'll go back to my tarot cards because that is my connection to the divine, and I love these cards as well. These are Lightseer tarot cards, so they're beautiful design. And the first card I pulled up was the Three of Swords. So this is the things that block us, have blocked me is pain and anguish regarding our past. So you can get caught up in our old stories and caught up in the old hurts that we experience. And it's hard to break free from those. So for me, growing up gay and knowing I was gay early on was tough. And growing up in a very Catholic family where it was a mortal sin to be gay, and my identity is so tied to like being with I'm close to my family now, but I felt I couldn't be who I was and still be loved. And this is what this card represents. It's heartbreak and anguish. And I think I had this Nine of Swords. This is about sleepless nights and worry and anxiety about if I revealed my true self, who would I be? Will I still be loved? And could I be authentically myself? Because in a lot of ways, attachment is super key early on. You know, talking about your theta stage, from 0 to 7, you can't survive on your own. You need your parents, you need your caregivers, love and support. And you will do anything for that love and support. And in lots of ways, it's sacrificing your authentic version of yourself during that time. And I still feel like sometimes, have I betrayed myself because of that attachment and longing for that attachment? And fortunately, I'm on a journey where I've actually I'm there. It's been a long journey and a tiring one. This is Nine of Wands, where it can feel exhausting on your way to your authentic version of yourself, but it is well worth the journey. And I feel so grateful and connected now. So the Queen of Cups is about connection to the divine, listening to my intuition, trusting my gut now, and not listening to what other people are saying, what their stories are for me, or what I should be doing, and listening to my own guidance and my own heart about my path forward. But the last card that I picked, it was not for me, but for a lot of people that block people from their full potential, is the Two of Swords. They don't know which way to go. So they feel like they've got a blindfold, they've got various paths forward, and what they're actually not listening to is their soul's calling, or what their intuition is telling them. They're getting conflicting messages like, this is what the world tells me to do. This is what my parents tell me to do. They don't listen to what is their soul calling them to do.
So how would you tap into that voice or that soul? How would you know? And because a lot of times there's so much noise in our brains.
Yeah.
Is it my voice? Is someone else's voice? Is it society? How do you know what's what?
There's so many ways. I guess from a spiritual point of view, and what I did on my journey was I did my astrology chart. So if you can find out your time of birth, within a few minutes would be ideal. But if it's even within a half hour or an hour, find out that and do your astrology chart and look for two key things within your astrology chart. There is the midheaven, which points towards what is your contribution here on Earth. Like, what is your career, but not just career. It's like, what are you called to do to give in this world? Figure out what sign it is, if there's any planets making any aspects to it as well. And I won't get too technical, but dive into that. And also what your North Node is. So North Node is, the South Node references where you were in a previous life, your past life. Your North Node is directly opposite, and it's now calling you where your path is going forward. And for me, my North Node is in Libra. So my South Node was in Aries. My past life was about being really independent, doing my own thing, being a trailblazer. But nowadays, my mission here on Earth is about collaboration. That's why I'm in a partnership with Damien here on our business. It's about partnering with people to help them find their path forward. I have Pluto conjunct my midheaven. So Pluto represents death and rebirth. And for me, it's helping people transform, change their views, change their stories, change their underlying perceptions of what is possible. And that is a big driver for me. So if you need some help, message us, book in a session. But also, there's plenty of resources online to find out where is your midheaven, if there's any planets making alignment, and where your North Node is.
Is that similar to how people say your North Star?
North Star, yeah. Yeah, it could have been. North Star, I guess, is more, it's an astronomical phenomenon where people, before we had GPS and Google, were using stars to figure out their path forward physically. And in lots of ways, your North Node represents what is your soul calling you to do this life. And I think when people feel out of alignment, that's when they start acting out. That's when they experience depression or anxiety. They know they're off their soul path. So I think that's really crucial. How about for you, in terms of a scientific point?
Mine's a quite simple one. Simple one is, the way I see it is that people that have a calling, generally you call them passionate, right? So the root of the word passion comes from the Latin word, and we're going back to Latin again, patere, which means to feel pain. So I like to say that whatever caused you the most pain when you were growing up is usually linked to your passions. So for instance, my two biggest pains when I was younger is having health problems and self-esteem problems. And the two things I'm most passionate about is like biohacking my health and also helping people build their self-esteem and self-development, about improving their mindset and just having more clarity in their life. So that's a good way to kind of find where your passion lies.
Yeah, I didn't know that's the etymology of passion. Pain is a driver for people, I guess, in lots of ways. People are moving away from this pain. Oh my God, this is probably the most brutal card in the deck. It is heartbreak. And I guess if you do it consciously, right? You do it from a point of like, what is my learning? Why did that pain happen? And how can I use it to move forward? But it seems like that seems like a tough transition to do, because most people sit in the pain. They will blame their parents. Blame the circumstances.
Well, that's more like a victim mindset.
And it's understandable to be in that mindset as well. Like, there's a lot of, it's hard to break free from those stories. So how did you shift from that self-esteem?
I don't know. I think I didn't consciously figure it out. I just felt happier and engaged and alive when I was doing things that were moving me away from pain and more towards pleasure, because we're generally wired. We are wired to move away from pain and move towards pleasure. So,
yeah, this is when we flash Damien's photo from 17 on the screen now.
When I look homeless.
This is when he was
homeless and depressed.
He was feeling low, like very You called yourself like a dumbass. There was
Yeah.
self-esteem. There was you weren't really healthy.
I wasn't healthy. I had a lot of health issues, a lot of self-esteem issues. I was nervous. I was sweating all the time. I still sweat a lot, but it was like symptomatic of a very dysregulated nervous system that was always feeling attacked or not didn't have much strength or resilience. Because I'm primarily an actor, and I didn't realize what was the impetus driving me to become an actor. It was because I wanted to be seen and validated. As an example. If you look at any kind of person that's thriving in a career, it's usually because it stemmed from pain they experienced when they were younger. So what are some practical ways to realize your full potential?
I think that it begins with self-awareness. So understanding who you are and what drives you, what are you good at? And from a very spiritual perspective, there are a lot of tools that can help you do that. And the key thing for me was astrology, figuring out my chart, where my sun, where all the planets are, what your mission is, what are you good at. Numerology could be also a good path. Figure out your life path number, your destiny number. Those are key attributes. Figure out your full potential. I think also experimenting and trying different things. Your 20s is a time for exploration and taking risks. And you have this really rare opportunity early in your life where you can make a mistake and it won't have as much of an impact going forward because you don't have that much to lose. When you get older, you become more risk averse. So take more risks, try more things, explore different options that you would normally never entertain. It might be true. It might reaffirm what you already know, but at least you'll know. And there might be things that surprise you that you didn't think you'd be into. Like if you told me 15 years ago that I would be doing this, doing a podcast using tarot and astrology to help people on their self-improvement journey, enlightenment journey, I'd tell you you're crazy. But I gave astrology a go, I gave tarot a go, and it resonates. So I think try different things, explore, and figure out more about who you are. That's really key.
What if you're older? If you're like you've already passed your 20s and 30s, and you're probably 40s and 50s. Is it too late? Am I screwed?
I mean, I'm 47 at the moment, and I made a big change, like in my late 30s. I became vegan. I became more spiritual. There's no age limit to when you should change. There's a time and a season and a reason for it, and I think I had all those early experiences and built really good foundations. So I had more freedom to explore. So in lots of ways, your 40s, if you've set up your life in the right way, it could be a chance for you to explore. But you have to let go of the version of yourself that you saw. And for a lot of people, that's the hardest part of reaching full potential.
How do you let go of that? That's a challenge.
Yeah, okay. So I'll give you a practical one. For me, I saw myself as the TV media guy. I was very successful within the media industry, and people knew me. My friends knew me, and my family and all the people in my life knew me as the TV guy. And it was hard when your identity is tied to this to shift. Fortunately, I had some spiritual awakenings using tarot and astrology, but also just the universe was signaling to me there was something changing and happening. And I started getting more involved with communities that were about giving back and contributing more, including the effective altruism community. And fortunately, as I left the media industry, I had a different identity I could tie myself to, and it was a community builder for the effective altruism community. So it's about giving back. How could I contribute? So I think it's hard to sit in the discomfort of uncertainty about who you are, your identity as it shifts. Having a replacement identity is key. How do you shift from becoming a very corporate materialistic person? You need to have a path forward, and it could just be simple as I'm just an explorer. You don't need the next one. I'm ready to give up this version of myself in this story, and be open to possibility. Again, the full card. Just believing in possibility.
As I was saying, one of the main blocks of that version of ourselves, the identity that we've held for a long time. And it's very hard because, like, the brain becomes almost implastic as we grow older. It's harder to change ourselves. That's why, like, old people are generally quite stubborn, right? They just set in their ways, and it's very hard to change that. So I guess it's about the main. This is a good one, actually. It's experience and exposing yourself to new experiences outside your comfort zone, which is very cliched, of course, but there's a reason why you need to have these experiences to shatter the limiting stories we have. For instance, maybe like one of the beliefs, or not beliefs, one of the things that held me back a long time is swimming. Like, I've drowned twice, almost drowned twice in my life. So I have this adverse reaction to swimming in open waters because of my experiences. Now, if I were to overcome that, I would need to take a smaller step, or an experience where maybe I get some swimming lessons, or maybe swimming lessons in the beach or something like that, where it's a little bit more familiar. And because the experience is essentially the currency of change in our mind. Like, we do not change. We can't think our way out of change. Like, it's very hard. So, example I used before is like, can you raise your heartbeat to 100% now? Can you raise it to 200 beats per minute?
No, unless
you can't think your way out to change. You can't think yourself. It's a very slow process. You can probably visualize, and then you could probably move your heart rate a bit, but if someone was to break in here with a knife or gun or machete or whatever, it would raise your heart rate immediately, because it's an experience. It has to be visceral. It has to be real to you. So in order to change, we need to expose ourselves to experiences that are outside our current paradigm, or the things that we've been doing, the habits we've had for like our whole lives. So just doing some micro experiences, whether that's taking the small step, for instance, like, okay, let's use a simple example, practical one. I want to be fit, but I hate going to the gym, or I'm too lazy, or I feel like I'm not one of those gym people. So what do? You just say to yourself, okay, what's one experience that moves me forward, that will change the identity that I have of not being a healthy, disciplined person? So I don't know, maybe wake up and say, I'm just going to put on my running shoes, or I'm going to do 1 push-up, I'm going to do 10, whatever it is. I'm going to the gym and say hi, I'm not going to sign up. As long as you do that, you're teaching your brain that it's safe to move outside your comfort zone, because this is so unfamiliar to you. And the brain learns through experience rather than through mental processes. Because we all know that we should be healthy, we should go to the gym, we should eat healthy, but none of us do it because our brain is still stuck in those stories, that paradigm, that identity that has been set when we were 7 years old, or even younger, or older, slightly older. So it's about having those small experiences that move us towards the ideal version of ourselves. Yeah.
It sounds like you're speaking about Atomic Habits.
I haven't read that book.
That's my favorite. Very practical self-development book, and it talks about making it easy. Yeah. So, for example, that gym scenario is you would have all your clothes laid out for the morning. That way, it's like you have no excuse. It's there. You've got your shoes. You've got your running shorts. You've got your singlet, and you're ready to go. And you go. You set it easy. I'm going to do 1 push-up, and it's easy to make, and then becomes through all these micro actions part of your identity. You're someone who goes to the gym. You're someone who looks after themselves. It becomes part of your identity, but it starts with 1 small change. Yeah. And
I don't advocate for people to do those massive overhauls of their life. Like, for instance, the New Year's resolution. They say, like, I think within the first month, 90% of the people have already given up, or whatever, very high statistic. And it's because it's so unfamiliar. You're trying to adopt something that's so outside your comfort zone. So the more distress your brain expresses or experiences, the more it regresses, and kind of it moves backwards for them, because it's such a painful experience to go from 0 to 1,000. Whereas to go 0 to 1, it's like easy. I'll do 2, I'll do 3, whatever. I'll keep throwing more push-ups at me, So it's about teaching your brain that it's safe to change, and your brain hates change. But if you link it to more dopamine oriented, using more like what do we call it? activating dopamine reward systems, like, tying a behavior to a certain reward. Like, if I do one push-up or a jog around the park, I get to eat a cookie, whatever. Okay, it's counterproductive, but it's ingraining this new habit. So just giving yourself these tiny experiences, but also giving yourself rewards, so it reinforces these behaviors.
Yeah. Amazing.
Yeah.
Cue reward. Yeah.
Yeah, that's very important. If you can't be masochistic like me and just brute force change with willpower. You can, but it can go against you as well, because then you become burnt out. A lot of people get burnt out because they're forcing. It's like, we're talking about power versus force. They're forcing these outcomes, and they become draining rather than rewarding.
That's why people do yo-yo with their diet.
Exactly.
So they will do this really strict ascetic kind of behavior where they're fasting and it's not sustainable. Then they reach their goal weight for this wedding or birthday milestone,
and then they go back even worse. They go back. They
put on even more weight afterwards because it wasn't sustainable. It is like a rubber band scenario. So it becomes more elastic, and I think you need to be part of your identity. It's not, I'm doing this until this point. I'm going to be this person until I reach this date. And then once I reach that goal, I'm going to revert back to the old person.
Yeah.
So
is Atomic Habits, do they talk about goals versus systems?
Yes, definitely. It is. It's always a systems-based approach. It's like, how do you create an environment that supports you about the identity that you want to be?
Yeah.
So, like, for example, another option with the say your goal is to lose weight, make it hard to have the temptations that you have at home. So the key is, how do you not bring it into your home? Once it's in your home, you're going to eat everything like that. It's going to be impossible to resist. But if you can make it just harder for you to eat that cheesecake,
vegan cheesecake,
or that ice cream bar, just that, for me, that's how I try to say. That's why I tell friends, try not to bring anything over, because I'm going to smash it. I have no self-control here. It is about the systems over. Again, it's power over force. It's your environment shapes you.
I mean, one way to do that is like just hanging around really ripped people, jacked, and then.
So that's why I hang around Damien. That's the only reason.
Fat. You're pulling me down. I mean, that's really true. The environment, making it like, one question I like to ask myself is, how do you create an environment that it's impossible for you to lose? Like, for instance, like, with the losing weight analogy, for example, it's like, what if I just stock my fridge with healthy food, and what if I just lived in a gym, or like these crazy things can probably change your like behavior almost instantaneously, because it's just, we're lazy. We're lazy to drive to the gym. It takes effort, but if we make it the gym right in front of us, or the healthy food right here, then it becomes cake. It's easy.
What one piece of advice would you give someone entering 2026 about how to unleash their full potential?
I think it always comes down to identity.
I think the key thing is, I think to make space for something new, a new version, you have to let go of the old story. So for me, a bowl burning ceremony, to let go of an identity and a story that you've been holding. The biggest blockage that you've had, think about what is the thing that's holding you back the most. It could be a person, it could be a belief, it could even be the environment that you've set up. It could be, think about that and do an intentional bowl burning ceremony. We can enter details below, but it's just Google bowl burning ceremony. You'll get some really good handy tips on it. And to make space for new, you have to let go. So how can you clear this energy in whatever way? It doesn't have to be a bowl burning. It could be like, I now am not the person. The story you tell yourself is, I'm a person who, okay, let's get a story. Like, I'm a person who, maybe your old story is someone who didn't look after their health, someone who didn't value their health and well-being. So the new story would be, I'm someone who is healthy and worthy of good health. Because I think that you can say you want to be healthy, but if you don't believe you're worthy of that, you're not going to invest the time and energy. You're not going to prioritize it. I think that's really key. You can say I'm healthy, but will you believe it? But also that you're worthy of health and well-being.
Yeah, what about the values? Like if you don't value health, then you naturally wouldn't prioritize it, right? Is that?
Definitely.
So you need to make it a value as well as a part of your identity.
Yes, identity. Yeah, value alignment is really key. So assessing your values would be a really key component. But first, let go of the stories, anything from your past that has been holding you back. That is the key before examining what you do moving forward.
Yeah. I think a simple one would be to write down, this is as an exercise, to write down everything. Okay, first of all, write down what have you done this year, like all the different activities. You go to the gym all the time, or I don't know, you work too much, whatever. You spend too much time with friends. So just quantify all the different activities you do, and then ask yourself, who do you want to become? Okay, and then just choose one of the things that in that list that doesn't move you towards that goal. For instance, if I want to become a successful entrepreneur, but I spend too much time gaming, then I might choose that one thing and I'll be like, hey, I'm just going to cut down on my gaming this year. But specify, the whole SMART goals. Maybe I specify saying, I only play games on the weekend. Just that one change. And then kind of whittle that down until all the things that support you towards the version of you that you're most happy with, that fulfills you.
I love that.
Just a simple exercise, yeah. Just write down all the things you're doing and then who do you want to become? And then, Pareto principle it. Choose the one or two things that are derailing you from your goals. So, yeah.
Love it. Very practical.
Yeah. It's all about the practicality. So, I enjoyed that. What do you think about this new format, guys?
Comment.
Yeah, comment below. Subscribe.
Ask questions. See if you have any topics you want to do us to do a deep dive into as well.
Questions, anything, feedback. We're always open to learn and grow and improve our podcasts. But other than that, we wish you a great Christmas and massive, amazing New Year. And we'll see you guys in the next year, 2026. Peace.